Welcome to Commanders Training Camp 2022. We have you covered every day at camp from the team's facility in Ashburn, bringing you this exclusive coverage of practice, interviews with your favorite players, and access like you will not find anywhere else. Coming up on today's show, safety Kam Curl drops by the set. Now, he's a guy that Santana has had real high expectations on. We're going to talk with him about how camp has been going and discuss the contest that he won last season. Just wait until you hear about that. And Santana Moss and Logan Paulson take you onto the practice field to watch drills through the eyes of former pros who know exactly what is the most important. So make sure you stick around. And what a weekend it was for Washington fans. Official all-time sack leader Ryan Kerrigan signs a one-day contract to retire with the burgundy and gold. And then while he hung around to coach up the guys at camp. It's the closest you can get to camp without actually being here, and we're bringing it all to you right now on Command Center. Camp coverage presented by the inaugural Commanders Fan Cruise, setting sail in March 2023. Stay tuned for details on how to seize your spot. Let's get it going. There's exclusive access to Washington Commanders training camp at the park here in Ashburn, Virginia. And, well, it is summertime and it is heating up. But you can stay cool wherever you are, as we'll be sitting back and we'll be showing you a live look-ins at what is happening throughout our entire show. And welcome on in. Julie Donaldson, joined by Logan Paulson and Santana Moss. So the first week of camp is officially in the books. And the guys had their first day off yesterday, giving their chance to kind of reset the body, get their minds right, as head coach Ron Rivera said, and come back out here straight to work on Monday morning. What was that first day like off for you from camp?
I was always disappointed with the first off day because I never felt as good as I wanted to feel. And I was always like, man, I thought I'd be feeling better this early in camp. And then you can never really get away. You're always thinking about, oh, I can't, really have a good time and really fully relax as we got practice the following day.
He hit it on the head. He must be wise. Some of them young guys going on, hey, they often may have a little time to, wind it down. But no, I was always focused on the day after that day off. So it felt great, felt refreshing. It probably wasn't the best, but it was always good to get one day.
Yeah.
And of course, on Saturday, they had a couple of guys that had like vet days, take it a little bit easier, making sure that they can keep their bodies going as the practices will be ramping up. They only had shells on last week. Pads will be coming soon enough. And then we get to install all the different plays and schemes for everything. So, well, we are here at training camp, and let's get a look at some of the storylines that we are following here for you. This was presented by Bank of America, the official bank of the Washington Commanders. We're going to start with maybe the best story of the weekend. Number 91, Ryan Kerrigan. He signed a one-day contract with the team to retire as a member of the burgundy and gold. Now, he's the team's official all-time sack leader. The former first-round draft pick was at camp on Saturday working with some of his former teammates, and he says he wants to be a coach now that his playing days are done. Now, somebody else who was back at practice on Friday and Saturday for the first time, center Chase Roullier. Roullier missed last 9 games of the season after breaking his fibula in week 8. He started camp on the PUP list, but is back in action with his teammates. Good to see that he's made a full recovery and will be working his way back soon. The big story on offense continues to involve Terry McLaurin. He and Jahan Dotson working together. Both will be top targets for new QB1 Carson Wentz. Now, it's been fun to watch them run routes, and just imagine what Scott Turner will be able to draw up for both of them, and it could be hopefully some trouble for defenses. Now, speaking of receivers, Curtis Samuel been working his way into some of the drills, running routes as the players have moved into wearing shells at practice, and we have not been able to see much of Curtis as we had hoped since he signed here, but he is back and ready to make an impact in year 3 with the Commanders.
No, yeah, I feel good. I feel fast. That's the main thing. I'm flying around out there, and I'm able to do stuff that I used to do. So I'm excited about that. Just mentally, just not really understanding, like, why is this happening? That was just tough for me. It was at one point I felt like I feel good, and the next minute I don't feel good. So it was just so confusing. Finally to get past that, to feel good, going out there each and every day, knowing that I'm going out there to compete. I'm just happy to be out there.
How much does it help you get an evaluation for the guys on the other side facing them who may be put in a position to get more reps? Or not just facing them, but taking their place?
It's a huge opportunity for us to really get in there and evaluate and see exactly what they're doing and how they're doing it. It's also an opportunity to mix it up because a lot of times when you're going against a Jonathan or you're going against a Charles, you're talking about top guys at their position. Now it's an opportunity for you to go against somebody else that needs to step up. And at the same time, you should be able to say, hey, you know what? I've been working against one of the better guys. I should have some success. And so it's an evaluation for us as well, because I'm going to look at it that way.
I mean, coming out of college, I probably had 3 sacks my whole career. So I done upped that a whole bunch. So I just been trying to piece together my pass rush game, and I feel like I'm doing a good job. But it's just always a learning process, and always things you can get better at.
Jerron, we hear about like Carson Wentz and the receivers kind of getting together in the offseason just to sort of get to know each other better, work on chemistry, things like that. For you guys in the defense, is there anything kind of along those lines?
I know D-line wise, a lot of us, we really train in the area, work out here. So we be seeing each other all off season, training together, working out together. We get together after practice and hang out and stuff together.
Let's go a little bit deeper into some of these storylines here. And I want to start with Curtis Samuel, because this is Santana we've been saying for quite a while. It's like having a Ferrari that you've been given on Christmas and you can't take it out of the garage. He now is saying that he feels good. And a lot of that is mentally just even how he feels after it, too. He knows he can trust his body. But then also as he cuts and he turns, he doesn't worry about, oh, my groin hurts after that. They're still being very cautious with him.
Yeah.
What is the expectation? Because we haven't really seen what he can really add to an offense, especially if you do have Jahan Dotson out there and Terry McLaurin.
Well, I think the expectation now having a guy like Dotson is kind of, lowered. I remember last year we was expecting this guy to get out there regardless of how he felt. We didn't know much. Every week we wanted to see something, then you was disappointed. I think now going forward, you want to make sure that you can take that Ferrari out. Yes, we showing it off to the neighborhood, letting them know we have it in the driveway, but we just not quite have the keys yet. Mom didn't give you the keys, Dad didn't give you the keys, but it's your Ferrari. So hopefully, I think going forward, we could expect a little more from him. He said he's field greats, and sometimes as a player, we have to kind of give that to the audience or give that to the fans. But I think they're just being cautious right now.
Yeah, Coach Rivera said last season maybe they pushed him a little bit too hard at times, and I think both of you guys could attest to, if you've got an injury and you come back and you push yourself a little bit too much before you're ready, maybe something else gives or something else breaks. What level of caution do you think that they need to have, or where's your level of how they're kind of approaching this in their mindset, Logan? Yeah,
I think that's the thing that's most concerning for me is it's been a year. It's been a calendar year since he's had this injury, and it's still kind of lingering, and they're still kind of managing it. I don't know. My expectation with the adductors are terrible. Yeah. They're notoriously really hard to come back from because they do a lot in terms of they extend your hip, they abduct your hip, they do a whole bunch of different things in terms of helping you run and move around. But man, I'm concerned, quite frankly, because it's been such a long time. He's an explosive athlete when healthy, but is he actually healthy? Everyone knows that one of the markers for kind of becoming healthy and showing you're healthy is participating in team drills, and he's not doing that right now. So obviously I understand they're being cautious, but it's been a year. So what exactly is going on?
Well, you have to be very cautious with that because I had a similar injury. Fortunately, I had a trainer that when I tore mine, I told him immediately, and he said, all right, we shutting you down for the OTAs. We shutting you down, you're doing nothing. And instead of you getting surgery, we're going to repair it. We're going to heal it. I'm going to give you exercise. You have to do it every day. You have to really you have to be a guy. And he knew I liked to practice, so he told me, you can't do nothing. And it was only my second year here. It was in 2006, 2007. And I remember going through it. I used to have to fly out to Atlanta as soon as I leave here on Thursday, I would go to Atlanta and I would just do exercises and core, trying to strengthen that area. I changed my whole entire gait. I couldn't run the same. I wasn't that fast, quick twitch. I had to open my stride up just so I can maintain it. And I held my breath every day coming to practice. But then I also found a way to just make it through practice because I love practicing. So it's a lot of things that people go through. He had surgery on here, so totally different story than mine. And it's a different process of healing and all that stuff too.
But it's a testament to how you do need to approach coming back from injury as well, and how important it is to have that mental confidence for the player when they go out there, knowing that they can trust that their body's going to hold up as well. And again, they're taking this cautious approach. And as head coach Ron Rivera said as well, is look, he hasn't done full contact football in a while, so we will work him into that process. They have time to do that. Chase Roulier also coming out of injury, and his was pretty extensive as well. He's officially caught up up the physically unable to perform list. What does this mean for the offensive line, Logan?
I think it's a huge deal for the offensive line because in this system, unlike other systems where the quarterback calls protections or they make Mike points in the runs, Chase is the guy that does that for this scheme. So having a guy with the experience in the system who's obviously played at a very high level for this offense, I think it's really critical to have him back, not only from a physical standpoint, but from an X's and O's standpoint. It also gives you some flexibility in terms of depth. Wes Schweitzer now gives you that great depth piece at guard. So all good things when he comes back.
Definitely great things. Just having a guy that has been a staple for you for a while. You hated to see him go down last year. Now just knowing that he's working himself back, he's finally here. We don't know how much he'll probably be out there to an extent, but I think it's just great for the offense all around. He can go out there and help those guys on the field. I'm pretty sure he's doing it in the classroom, but it's great to have him back on the field.
Before he went down, we were talking about how he's probably one of the biggest unsung heroes on this team and how he was really kind of quarterbacking that offense and really helping out Taylor Heineke, being able to recognize defenses and call out certain things to help him, and just how smart he is at that position, how physically sound he is. And then they had to go through a rotation of different centers, so it'd be great to be able to have him out and have some stability at that position as well. Well, hey, Saturday is an opportunity for you to come on out to FedEx Field and watch practice live. August 6th, head coach Ron Rivera is going to address everybody in attendance and is opening up the practice for you get to see firsthand. We'll be breaking down what drills they are going through and why it is important, what the coaches are looking for. Head on over to commanders.com for more information and to get your free tickets as well. We're talking about exclusive access here, and we want to give you everything that we can. So that means that these two are going to be leaving me here at the set until you guys go on down to the sideline, and they're going to be telling you exactly what they are seeing in these drills, what the coaches are looking for. We are giving you access, again, like you can't get anywhere else. So, all right, you guys are going to be taking off. We'll check in with them in just a second. And we also have our conversation with Kam Curl coming your way. The Commander's strong safety joins us to talk about how the defense is looking early on in camp. Of course, we can't wait to see him in action again this season. Well, the Command Center camp coverage, we're going away, but we're for only 60 seconds, and we're going to give you eyes into practice the entire time.
Told you long ago, I got what you're waiting for.
Introducing Nitro Pepsi. Smooth, creamy, delicious.
Another rock and roll weekend.
Burgers, better with Pepsi.
Welcome back to Command Center camp coverage presented by the inaugural Commanders Fan Cruise, setting sail in March 2023. Stay tuned for details on how to seize your spot. Well, fans have been active on social media. Here's a look at some of the posts with the hashtag HTTC, Hail to the Commanders. Folks coming on out and enjoying seeing the new addition, Jahan Dotson, to the offense, as well as some other folks here on Curtis Samuel coming back. A lot of excitement around the receiving corps this year. Randy Jordan's running back team as well. Look, this offense is looking different. They have more depth, and we're hoping it all clicks together. Well, it is time now for your Field Pass presented by FedEx, where now meets next. Logan and Santana have made their way down to the practice field. Okay, guys, what are you seeing?
Okay, so here we're on the defensive side of the field today, checking out DBs and safeties. Now, if you look at the safeties over here, they're working on concept pattern recognition, and that's something that the defensive guys have to do so much, right? It's something you take for granted, right? Different formations, how you match different things, right? You played safety for a while. Yeah. Was that a big part of your process?
Much younger. No, we didn't have all that.
It was man-to-man,
this
straight
technical
up.
Stuff nowadays, you know, basically back in the day when I was doing this, and you got to think about it, it was Pee Wee football, Little League. We called it Little League football. I was basically either going to be in cover 2, single high, or some kind of cover 4. So it was basically, you know, generic back in those days. Now so much. Nowadays you get a lot of, you know, different 6, 8, 15 looks, you know what I'm saying?
Right, and I love this because, like, right here, they've got the tight end to the offensive right over here, Matty, over there. and then they're going to work a concept, right? And how they match, how they drop, how they fill that space.
Yeah.
And you'll see they work motions, they work different personnel groupings, they work 2x2, 2 offensive players to the right, 2 offensive players to the left, 3x1, and how that changes everything. So really intricate part of playing defensive back, especially in this defense, is matching concept. Because as you know, certain routes pair together. Like if I'm running a corner, what's the outside going to run? Probably a post, right? And like that's a huge part of how they have to work here, because it gives you a little bit of anticipatory response, right?
And then what folks fail to realize too is a lot of the things that you see on the field now, you can't just man a guy up and say, okay, you know, like you just talked about, the concepts are key. You know, high, low, you know, one guy has to know, okay, if this guy comes in your area, then you picking him up, even though he's my man, but you covering this area, so he might come into your window. So that's some of the things that, you know, a lot of the fans who watch the game, they might say, oh, this guy blew the coverage, but no, that was someone else's guy, and they had to be on the same page.
And I love that you brought that up, and I love that you said you can't play man-to-man every down, because now offenses are so dialed in to how to beat man coverages, right? Everyone has seen those pick routes. You know, Jahan had a huge catch a couple days ago, not because Jahan was great, but because it's a pick play. It's designed to beat press man, and that's why these guys have to be so locked in to getting these things taken care of. And like, how easy is it to win when you have a pick for you as a receiver?
Oh man, it's great, because one of the things about that, you already knowing that, you know, unless you give these guys those indicators beforehand, they're not going to get a chance to tell each other that, you know, get my guy, he's coming into your zone or your area, or, you know, or your part of the field. So, you know, that's one of the things that coaches always tell us, to make sure we are great at disguising what we're going to do. Don't show our hand yet. And when you do it full speed, because they're not going to be able to recover or react.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I love this drill that they're working here with Coach Harris right in front of us, Maddie, right here. Like what they're doing is they're playing hands. Because as a DB, when you look for the ball,
must play hands.
Yeah, you got to play hands, right? If you look for the ball in the air, sometimes the receiver can run away from you, right? And so this is a drill to kind of keep discipline, stay on the hands, right? Because like, how tough is that as a receiver when that guy plays your hands perfect?
Look, lay hands. I love to play games with their DB's mind, because when you know the ball is coming down, you know, I learned this as a young guy. If I got my hands waiting for the ball and the ball is nowhere near in my vicinity yet, the DB is going to sit there and play my hands. He's going to react when I react. And so what I would do is, you know, all the great receiver coaches tell you, lay hands.
Right.
So when that ball is getting above or a little over that defensive back's head, throw your hands just when he looks and see your eyes getting a little bigger. And you throw your hands now, and then you can save yourself a chance or save yourself some time from that defender reacting quick enough to stop you from catching that pass.
Yeah, absolutely. And now Coach Harris is going to work through like another technique. And this is like when you are playing the ball in the air, when you are looking at the ball, that means your body has to be on the receiver.
Yeah.
You have to widen the receiver out if your eyes are up, right?
Yep.
And so I think that's another trait you see. Like you see guys either play the hands or they play the body, but you have to stay in contact with that receiver, because if there's space, you're going to kill that guy.
And then you got to also understand what you have playing with you. See, one of the things about being on the sideline for a defensive back, for a corner, you have the sideline as your friend. The sideline is basically your help. So what I tell my son is all the time now, he's a DB, he's a corner, and I'm telling him, I say, Savion, use the sideline. The sideline is your other defender.
Yeah.
You can widen him with your arm or with your hip, get your body close as possible. So now, even if he comes down with it, the side, he has to come down and bound.
Right.
So use that extra help, and that's what these guys do well at.
I love that. And then, you know, we always talk about that red line on the field here, on the track here, and that's for the receiver to keep that space. And as a DB, your job is to close that space. Don't let him hold that
Keep
red
him
line.
wide.
Because if you can't do that, then you're not going to make a play, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's another thing they're working on. And again, look at the safeties over here, Tana.
Yeah, I'm seeing
the DBs are working all this cool stuff, and the safeties are still working pattern recognition, right? Those guys are just dialed in on that. That's so important. And it's just such a big part of playing that position that fans never get to see, right?
Yeah.
Countless reps of pattern recognition.
And then one of the things that we can talk about too is just folks wonder and ask, why so many defensive backs on the field nowadays? That's why, because it's so many different concepts. You have more receivers now, not just talking about the receivers that you have as far as the Z, X, and the slot. The tight ends are now more, used in the passing game. So you have to add more help when it comes to those guys.
All right, well, that's it from the defensive side of the field. Julie, back to you.
All right, thanks, guys. Now, when they're making their way back up here, let's talk about safety Kam Curl. He's coming off a season where he accounted for 99 tackles, 62 of them solo. He's also recorded a sack. He's getting more and more involved in defensive coordinator Jack Del Rio's game plan. And, well, he stopped by our set to talk with us after practice. It is our Pepsi player profile. Pepsi, the official soft drink of the Washington Commanders. Kam Curl joins us now. All right, Kam, a couple of years ago, we were having to ask a little bit about you, what your game brings as a 7th round draft pick. And when I'd ask the coaches about you, they'd always say, look, the stage is not too big. When you had your opportunity to come in, you showed that. But now everybody knows your name. You're entering year 3. And really that position on the defense is yours to really solidify. How is it different for you this year approaching camp?
It's just like being more of a leader, being more vocal. Not just making my play, show who I am, but, having my voice heard more. Like, that's what I've been working on.
How different was that? We always get caught up in that.
Yeah, you go.
How different was that last year, having such a great rookie year, and then getting Landon back and not really, because, from outside looking in, we didn't know how they was going to just, allow you to be you. We saw it later on in the season, but how different was that coming in early in the season?
I mean, it was always good to have Landon here because, I learned a lot from him. So just being able, the whole nother year to learn stuff from him and Bobby, I feel like it was good for my game, and then us running that 3 safety defense, I feel like it was a pretty good fit for all 3 of us.
And so how do you feel? Landon's obviously gone. Obviously you can expand your leadership role, but now you have to know multiple positions, right? Buffalo nickel, safety, post, all that kind of stuff. How has that been for you?
I mean, it's been pretty cool.
You're a baller, yeah.
Especially the leadership part. The young guys, they already looking up to me because I'm on the field the most, so they're gonna look for me for answers and stuff like that. But just learning different positions, I feel like I did that my whole life. So it's just, I want to be on top of everything. And as a safety, I feel like you gotta know what everybody doing anyway. So you can be in the right spot and know where everybody else gonna be.
And you mentioned the young guys there. How are those young pups handling this, right? Because, Force is going to have a big role this year, and maybe Percy's got to step up. And, how are you helping those young guys out?
I feel like they're doing good. They're doing real good. Defoe, he was showing what he can do last year, and then in the OTAs, he really showed what he really can do and stepped up. And then Percy coming along, he learning all the defense and stuff like that. So I feel like I'm ready to see which one they gonna put out there with us, because either one can make plays.
When you're mentoring kind of these younger guys and talking about coming up and being a leader, does that impact any of your approach, just your game personally? Or are you feeling is that a responsibility you're just taking on your own?
Yeah, I feel like I gotta be on my stuff even more for real.
Here's your guys over here. What's going on?
I just feel like I gotta be on my stuff more, because they looking at me. So I wanna be the good example on and off the field. You know what I'm saying? So they, because I know what I'm trying to get to, and they trying to get the same thing. So I'm trying to show them the way to get there.
But does that shift your focus on your game in particular?
Yeah, I gotta lock in even more. You know what I'm saying? And then when they asking questions, I gotta lock in on them too. So I really gotta know everything.
Where are you having the most fun at on the field? One of the things that I look at the safety position, I'm a dinosaur in the game when it comes to just how they played it traditionally. When I was playing, you get your free and you get your strong. It seems like we see you sometime playing in different positions, but you're making a lot of noise up in the box. You're covering the tight ends, you're making tackles. Where are you having the most fun at?
I mean, I like the box because I get to work my instincts more in the box, and trigger on a lot of stuff. But I like to be in the post. I'm trying to go get some picks too. Where the money at?
Feed you, huh?
I'm trying to do everything, everything I can.
Truth, wisdom, wise words, get those picks. Well, the defense has been having so far a really good outing. What is the difference now that you're in the 3rd year? What do you think the difference is that you're seeing the way that you guys are approaching camp and coming together?
I feel like we are more comfortable in the defensive scheme and defensive plays. We're getting more in depth. We can make more checks and stuff with different calls and stuff like that. I just feel like everybody's more comfortable with each other. We done played with each other for about 3 years now. So it's we can fly around, we can move that much faster with each other out on the field.
One of the things you do exceptionally well is cover tight ends. What is your process in getting ready for those guys? You covered some really good ones, man. You matched up against Kelsey, Cooks, all these kind of iconic tight end position names. What do you do to get ready for those guys?
It's like film, watching, how they coming in and out of their breaks, you know what I'm saying? How they move when they working certain routes, and then it's just locking in on a certain key, if it's the hips or a thigh, certain leverage, keeping the leverage.
How about Kelsey, guys? I was just down at tight end U, and he always talks about giving guys false indicators. How do you manage a guy who's trying to throw you off?
It's just you gotta be patient. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta be patient. It's you gotta sit in there because if you know somebody can't run past you, then you can be more patient with them.
He's bragging about how fast he is right there.
He's a skillful guy. One of the things I wanted to ask you, just going back a little bit, Logan knows this. I talk highly about you, and
this is your number one fan.
Yeah,
right
most
here.
will probably say that, Tanner. Damn, you talking about Kam Curl. Well, I just like the game. I like the tenacity. I like the way you play. Like Julia alluded to. You came in ready. As a rookie, you rarely get that. That goes back to me watching Sean, playing with Sean, being a good friend of Sean. Do you ever get a chance to watch some of the guys like Sean, some of the guys that did it before you, Sean, Ed Reed, those guys who played the position? Do you ever get a chance to watch and take a little bit of their game and put it with yours?
Yeah, I'm always learning. Like, I'll sit and watch just highlights, just try to, use some of what they're using, you know what I'm saying? And I'll feel me doing it in the game or during practice, it's just like, just studying the game. I always try to study the game.
Do you have an example of something you took from somebody else?
I don't really know. I feel like it's more like instinct. Like, I just feel myself like really covering the tight end. Like, I watch a lot of like Ed Reed in the post. You know what I'm saying? Like how he just got the range. Him and Sean Taylor, like their range was crazy. Yeah. So like just being able to do that if I'm the half safety and stuff like that, just taking away the whole field.
Yeah.
Let me ask about your personal expectations. You were mentioning even just here at camp, you're on the field more because there is that opportunity for you to be on the field more. The moves that were made in the offseason with Landon leaving. This is basically your spot. Coach talks a lot about that Buffalo nickel, to be able to move you around, put you in coverage as well. You wanting those picks. What is the expectation for you knowing that you're going to be that guy that's on the field pretty much all the time?
I'm just trying to be the one that's, commanding everything in the secondary. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be the best safety in the league. You know what I'm saying?
Good mindset.
Like just in leading the picks, tackles, like my real focus this year, like turnovers, getting the ball. Like that's the most important thing in the game. Because the ball is one ball, everybody trying to get it.
And I play with a lot of DBs, they talk about turnovers. Are there things you can do to help you get more turnovers? Like, are you like practicing the peanut punch? Are you just watching, you know what I'm saying? Like what's the process?
Yeah, like the coaches, they real emphasize doing shots on the ball. Okay. Like, we got like a point system, during camp. If you get a shot on the ball, they'll give you a point. It's like a prize at the end. So whoever gets
Who's winning right now? Who's winning right now?
It's been 2 days, so
I know, it's 2 days. Someone's winning though.
I know I don't know what's going on, but for some reason it's always a D lineman winning. So I don't know, what's going on behind the scenes.
Well, they're around the ball more. Yeah, you got to run all the way up there. They're just standing right there. Right?
What are we winning? Do we know yet?
Last year was a car.
A what?
Really?
A car.
A car?
The remote control car.
You had us. Wait a minute.
I'm going to be out there punching the ball in practice. Holy cow. Let's get out there.
See you on the field.
I take boxing classes all the time. I might be able to be out there for a little bit of that. Hey, again, just going back to your coming in the league as a 7th round draft pick and really just kind of surprising people, again, not sneaking up. On Twitter, your dad's like, where's my number 31 jersey? Yeah. People now are out here wearing 31 jerseys. They love that. What's it just kind of like for you? People are calling out your name, your number, and...
I mean, it's cool. It's like, I'm really out here living my dream. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody, they recognizing me, so, like, it's all good. I don't, like, try to get too much into all the social media stuff. I'm focused on football. You know what I'm saying? But, like, it feels good that people noticing my game and, like, respecting it.
It comes with the territory, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We can let Coach Greg be the one that's following everything on Twitter. Your dad got it for you.
Social media stuff.
Dad's got it for you. Cam, thanks so much for stopping by. Excited to see how this season's going to go for you in your role in the defense. So the stage is definitely not too big.
It's not never too big.
And let's take a look at the numbers that Cam put up last season. I mean, talk about being a 7th round draft pick and really coming into his own. And anytime he's on the field, making the most of that, which is one of the main reasons they want him on the field more often. And you're seeing him into the defense more often. And if you like, I really liked his answer, guys, if we're talking a little bit about him as we bring everybody back in here with Logan and Santana back on the set with me, is that he likes going up against the run in the box, but he also has that speed and athleticism to go and cover, which is what they want to need at that position. And then you can kind of disguise your defense a little more if he's on the field. You don't know which way he's going to do. Go. Santana, look, you've talked a lot about liking his play. What is it that you respect the most about what he does on the field?
I mean, you're talking a guy who came in as late as the 7th round. The job was never too big for him. He came in as a rookie and he played, above his pay grade, And just to see him, flourish at that time, and then the next year we was kind of sitting there scratching our heads like, we knew Landon was going to be back, so how was this role going to differ? You know what I mean? Was he going to be more doing some of the same things? And you saw, as soon as they implemented him back into the scheme and say, hey, let's let this kid do what he does best, you know, the defense as a whole rose their game. So he's just been one of those guys. He's a magnet for the ball. And you know, when I asked that question about watching other guys, two guys that I'm very aware of is Ed Reed and, you know, Sean T. He said he likes both of their game. He take a little bit out of, you know, all those guys' game, but he's just a student of the game, and he's doing great to be only going into his third year.
You know, with a little bit of Landon Collins being gone, I mean, that was the big storyline last year, is how do you work them both into it? More of the attention and focus is on Cam.
Sure.
So what is that next level of development for him in his game?
Well, I think that's the big question, right? It's to me, it's just like with more responsibility, like does his production continue to increase? Because when he's played, he's looked outstanding. He's big, he's physical, he's got great instincts, all those things, but can he kind of extrapolate that out to a 17-game season? And I think that's the big question. Like, he is the guy now.
Yeah.
And can he be the guy that we all think he can be? And I think that's the million-dollar question. And I think, like I said, I have no doubts in my mind that he's going to get it done. So very productive season from him. And that's my thought.
Head coach Ron Rivera is always talking about that Buffalo nickel position and just how important that is to the way that they want to run their defense and the scheme that they have. Who do you see mainly playing that?
Well, I think it's going to be Kam Curl. I think what they're going to do is they're going to probably bring in Bobby McCain's going to play post. I think it's going to be Forrest playing the other safety, or Percy Butler, whoever makes that kind of grabs that role, and then Cam's going to be in the box. But I think Buffalo nickel is a little bit of a misnomer. I think it's a nickel position. You have a nickel that plays on first and second down, which would be Curl, and then you have your nickel on third down, which would be Benjamin St-Juste. And because of all these spread formations that offenses are playing now, Benjamin St-Juste might be the guy on first and second down as well. So I think it just depends on what's going on. So think of it more by committee this year as opposed to just one guy kind of taking
And then it's also great to have so many different guys that you can have at that position, because now you take a guy like, you know, Benjamin St-Juste, if he could continue to elevate his game, because he played well last year in the time that he was he was pretty much available for us. You can also see Kam Curl going back to his normal position. You know what I mean? So he don't have to always be in that Buffalo nickel, because he can play football, flat out play safety. So you don't have him there, then he's going to be back deep, you know, roaming from sideline to sideline.
And to piggyback on that, like Percy Butler is a guy that Ron has said could play Buffalo nickel for this team because he's physical, he's fast, and again, having all these kind of interchangeable skill sets is fantastic, and it just, like Julie alluded to earlier, it just makes the defense better because it lets you be more diverse.
Flex positions.
Right.
That's what they really want, is guys that can play multiple spots, really kind of switch it up as well. And Benjamin St-Juste, they're really kind of liking what he's doing in the slot.
Been great.
Tall guy, he's got the length, and he also has the speed and the ability to kind of flip and change directions. Didn't get to see everything from him last season as he was out with a couple of concussions, but he's so far really kind of shining so far early on in camp, which is just a nice further addition into that secondary. Well, for everything that you need to know about the Washington Commanders, you can catch it on our daily show, Command Center. You can see every episode on our YouTube channel and on commanders.com. You can also check us out on NBC Sports Washington weekdays 5:30 and 10 p.m. Now, don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we will discuss rookie running back Brian Robinson Jr. Where does the third-round pick out of Alabama fit into Scott Turner's system? We're going offense, and we will discuss. That's next, right after this 1-minute break, but we're going to keep that field cam up for you.
This one's for every NFL fan whose fan cave is more like a fan corner of a guest room closet. You've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar.
You fired up the grill for one hot dog? Seriously?
Hot dogs, better with Pepsi.
Welcome back to Command Center Camp coverage presented by the inaugural Commanders Fan Cruise, setting sail in March 2023. Stay tuned for details on how to seize your spot. Well, fans have been active on social media. Here's a look at some of the posts with the hashtag HTTC. Hail to the Commanders for camps. Fans coming on out to camp. Of course, the players making sure they hand out their autographs afterwards. You see John Allen handing his out to Mike. Fans excited to come here and see this team getting excited for the upcoming season. Well, somebody start the fire. We're going camping with team reporter Zach Selby.
Hello and welcome back to Camping Out with Zach Selby, where I'm emerging from my tent to give you all the news you want on the Washington Commanders training camp. And I have 2 interviews for you today from our beat reporters. One, Ben Standig from The Athletic, and Lake Lewis from ABC News. Let's go check it out and see what they had to say. All right, so with us we have Ben Standig from The Athletic. It seems like Brian Robinson is getting out there a lot more, benefiting a lot from those opportunities. What have you seen from him so far?
I like Brian Robinson a lot. I mean, I'm curious to see how it all fits between him and Gibson and McKissick, like how they get all that work in. But I really think he's interesting. Obviously, for what he does going up the middle, there's no pads yet, there's no tackling, so it's hard to completely gauge what he's doing. But he looks a very interesting player. What he's been able to do, he's caught some passes out of the backfield as well. So I'm intrigued to see how he fits in because last year this team was at its best with a ball control offense, and he's going to give them, I think, a more stable version of that out of the backfield.
Ben, I appreciate it, man. Now with me, we have my guy, Lake Lewis, ABC News morning news anchor. Lake, you've been out here for a few days now. I mean, what's the feel, of where the team's at heading into, what's going to be full pass here in a couple days?
Yeah, it starts with the offensive line. The offensive line has shown some glimpses early. I wouldn't write or say anything about the offensive line like they're not.
Well, it's hard to judge them when they're not in full pads. Yeah, there's so many limitations that they have.
But they've been holding their own though, actually, and that's a good sign. That's what you want to see. You want to see the Sam Cosmes, all these young players, be able to come in and do some things. And so right now we're not even looking at the offensive line. We're just looking at all the skill set players.
Right,
but next week in the heat, it's going to be about what's going on in the trenches.
That's when it gets real.
Absolutely, it's going to be about. That's what we're going to see, and I'm looking forward to it. I am. There's a little bit of chippiness out there, not anything bad, but just
people are anxious. They're anxious.
Competitiveness, and that's what you want. And I think these players feel the same heat the coaches feel. They want to win, and they want to get the job done now.
Last one, you bring up Curtis Samuel, and if that move he put on Benjamin St. Jude's happened maybe in June, they probably would have said, all right, we're going to save him for an abundance of caution. But it seems like he was out there the very next day. That just shows you how I think confident they are in his health and what he can do.
And last year they were trying to rush to get him back on the field, and he was trying to rush too. He just needed more time with that type of injury. And when you're a quick twitch, fast guy, you need your hamstrings. So now that he's back out there, you can put him in the slot, you can put him at the Y, you can put him, you can put him anywhere out there. And now you can move Terry inside at times, you can move Jahan inside. I just like what they're doing. And remember, yesterday there was a package where they had all 3 of them on the one side of the field at the same time.
That's going to be difficult.
That's going to be a problem for some defenses.
And today's Fresh Takes presented by Safeway, the official supermarket of the Washington Commanders. You can listen to Zach's full interviews with the beat reporters on our podcast, Camping with Selby. Find it wherever you get your other Command Center podcasts. Logan Santana back here with me. Let's talk a little bit about these Fresh Takes as they discuss Brian Robertson Jr., the team's 3rd-round draft pick out of Alabama. Talked about Antonio Gibson as well, how they're going to work in. What do you see this unit in the running back core? Like, how do you see them shaping up, Santana?
It'll be real interesting. We know what AG can do. He showed us every year his progression, and then now getting into your 3rd year, you normally have that explosion year. You have that year where you just really put everything together and go out there and really be who you're going to be. But when you have a guy like Robinson Jr., this guy has a part of his game that he really can go out there and be a force to be reckoned with, and someone that we can probably lean on. So as you've seen through both years with Gibson, he had dealing with injuries here and there. You don't have to worry about the wear and tear as much when you have a guy like Robinson who can come in and spit him a lot.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think this is a guy who, in addition to being a very physical human being, like he's a big man, he is also an outstanding runner. He just has a tremendous vision. He knows how to set up blocks, and that is beneficial to the offensive line. This scheme is a very kind of congested scheme. It relies on the runner to create a lot. He has that skill set, and that's something that I'm really excited to see. Him kind of complementing the explosive skill set of Antonio Gibson.
And it's going to be some good competition too, which always makes everybody's better and elevates their game plan. Sure. So really looking forward to the running back unit. the offensive line, who will be running behind. There's been some good compliments for them. Brandon Sheriff left, and it was like, okay, who's going to step up? Who's going to be able to go in? Well, head coach Ron Rivera went out and got a couple of vets to come in there and really kind of help out that guard position. What have you seen so far from the O-line?
I think the O-line over the last probably 3 days has had a little bit of a tough go. You know, Cornelius Lucas is out, so the tackle depth is a little bit diminished. Trey Turner's out. Leno's not in every day because he takes vet days. You want to keep that big guy healthy. So it's been a little bit of a revolving door. People playing new positions, but that's one thing they pride themselves in this group is that they got guys who can do multiple things in multiple spots. So I think this is a group that I think still needs to kind of galvanize and come together a little bit, and I'd like to see that happen over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think it's one of those positions or one of those groups where, you know, you can honestly see why the defense is being the defense, you know, right now, you know, far as dominating so much throughout this camp, because the quarterback can't really get his feet, you know, settled in the pocket because you have so much going on up front. But I think over time, you know, we know this, Logan knows this, over time those guys will get together and be able to be a little more comfortable back there and give the quarterback enough space so he can do his, you know, do his due.
And to your point, that is a group that they can get better as time goes on, because you get to know how each buddy plays and get more comfortable with that group for sure.
And Chase really was talking about, because they do pose a lot about some actions going out here on the field. I want to be like, turn my head around, like what's happening. But he was talking about, you know, one of the things about them bringing different guys and teaching flex positions and guys doing different spots of the line, to your point of them mixing around. He says, I'm now getting comfortable with probably 8 different players standing next to me as opposed to just 2. Yeah. So should you get in the game, I'm a little bit more used to knowing what they're going to want from each one, because it will rotate throughout the season, as we know it does go on. The receiving core, let's talk kind of quickly and how you kind of see that rounding out. Of course, we know what you get from Terry McLaurin, from what you've seen from Dotson, Curtis Samuel, Cam Sims, Trey Quinn, all these different guys coming in here and being able to compete.
Yeah, I think the thing about that group is that it's got a lot of potential, right? And they're still kind of finding their feet a little bit. Every day, someone will make a big play, but you just like to see a little bit more consistency from this uber talented group. I think the names are there, the skills there, just about how that group comes together, much like the offense.
And by the way, I went Dax Milne out there. Trey went Dax Milne and De'Anthony Brown.
So we're just going to ignore that and just keep it going.
I definitely let it go. Fly by. I mean, honestly, it's one of the cores where, and I've been a receiver, so I'm a little biased, but most of the coaches that ever coached me say we move the offense. We allow the offense to be special, because one of our roles that's been in the passing game happened to be the guy to go out there and make the play, especially on third down, and then in the run game. Our role is very integral to us having success going up and down the field. So I think with that core, we can look at the big names and say, yeah, this guy, that guy, but you know, it's about the core. It's about the guys that you don't give enough praise to that's going to be able to sub those guys, fill those guys, and make that group what it is. So it's going to be interesting. I'm going to see who that 4th, 5th, 6th, maybe 7 guy is going to be, but it's one of those groups where everyone's going to get a chance to really see who's going to make the team, because as we know, this league is heavily when it comes to the passing game.
And we understand that you have to see about the back end of that receiving unit. We talk so much about our lead guys. A lot of it is that depth because of injuries. We have seen Cam Sims come in and be able to make the most of his opportunities, kind of getting out there as well. And Dax Milne coming in as he was taken, the bottom half of the draft last year as well, but coming out and really kind of filling in that slot position as well. And the cheering we're hearing behind us is the defense making some plays.
Oh my goodness, wow.
The defense is, again, usually a little bit further ahead of the offense, but it kind of goes a testament to what we're talking about. You have to solidify every single position on that roster. Hey, that's going to do it for this Command Center camp coverage. Thanks for joining us. But don't forget, folks, you can find us every single day here. Go to YouTube. We'll be bringing you full coverage and access. Thanks for joining us this time. Go share the word and come back tomorrow. We'll see you next time.